I'm Justin Davis, and this is Joe Camp's RC. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Justin Davis. Please do make your comment down below because there's a drawing on January 2nd. Today is New Year's Eve, so Happy New Year's to everybody, and 2019 is just around the corner, and a day after that we're going to give away an awesome Tiny Hawk and 6S Mephisto drone from HGLRC on the channel to one lucky subscriber. So be sure to subscribe and make your comment. Today is the last day for that drawing. Coming up after that, we're going to do some new giveaways for January. I think you guys are going to absolutely love. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait to tell you what it is. We're already giving away one trash can from Eachine, and we're going to give away some other prizes here on the channel. So click subscribe and like down on this video and make a comment. Let me know where you're from and all that good stuff. So let's go ahead and get started with the BetaFpv Pro 2. This is in direct competition with the Mobula7 that has just come out a few months ago, and now we have the Trashcan from Eachine. There's all kinds of competition to take out the Mobula7, and the Trashcan seems to have done that, but we'll see how this one compares to the Trashcan and the Mobula7 for you guys. I'll give you an honest opinion about it. We'll do a star rating, and I'll also give you some of my suggestions for if you decide to get this one, some mods that you can make, and some of the things you can do to update this frame and make it a little bit better. But let's go ahead now out to the field. Let's do some line of sight flying, and after that we'll do some FPV, and we'll come back into the studio and take a little closer look at the BetaFpv Pro 2 series. Not the X series, the new Pro 2 series. Let's see if they made it better. Here we go. All right guys, let's go. Let's go. Here we go. I'm gonna flip into Acro Mode. Little 2S Pro version. I've already landed it, got it stuck in a tree one time. Gonna try not to do it again. Super windy today. As you can see, it's getting pushed all over the place. Those batteries seem to fly out every time you crash, so that's one thing. But you can put a little piece of soft Velcro in the very bottom and just give it a little more cushion. And I already lost a little bit of that canopy, so again, the BetaFpv canopies are not that great. They could be made out of some better material, I think. Great flying quads. Nice little punch out here. If I don't hit myself. There it goes again. Whoa, way high. Really nice punch out. Out in the middle of the field, the wind is just cranking, but really nice. Going downwind a little bit, it's like a rocket. Oh, into the ground. See if we can get it back up in the air. There we go. I love the way it flies. Let's just bring it in for a close hover so you guys can see it. Not that close. Looking good. So what do you guys think about the Pro version? Should you go for the X version or the Pro version? They say that this one's faster, and they say that the frame is like 2 grams lighter. And so far this frame is pretty durable because I did hit it with a stick to get it out of the tree. When I was flying indoors on 2S, it's a lot to handle on 2S indoors, so look at that. On 1S, it's a lot of fun indoors, so I'd probably recommend flying it on 1S indoors. And outdoors, even on a day like today, you can just really rip. I love the way it flies line of sight. It's a great acro trainer. If you want to train yourself how to really fly line of sight, fly an acro. Do a big rainbow. Do a little mini funnels here. It's got a nice roll rate on it, real tight. It was 70 on the super rates, and I bumped it up to 75, so I wanted it to be a little bit tighter roll, and that's about where I want it for a 2S whoop. Looking really good. So let's go ahead and put it on the ground, you guys, and put it in my hand, and then we'll go do some FPV. It's really touchy on the throttle, so here we go. Oh, I missed it. Here we go. Let's go. Okay, so one of the best things about these 2S whoops is that you can fly them on 1S. Most of them do fly on 1S. And once you really find your groove around the inside of your house, you can really make some nice lines. I would recommend flying it on 1S indoors. If you're going to try 2S, you better have a really big house, because these brushless motors, the 0802 motors, are super fast. And on my first flight, as you can see here, what I'm trying to do is just find my groove, and once I find my groove, I can kind of zip a little bit faster. You know, everybody has to warm up a little bit, but on this first battery, I'm doing okay around the living room, coming around the Christmas tree and back toward the kitchen, making some nice lines, getting some lines going here. There we go. And one more battery here. And you can see my timer, my fly timer up top is about 3 minutes. So I'm getting 3 minutes on a 1S battery, and you can do those 450 batteries, or you can do the 550s. I like the 550s. They do fly a little bit heavier, and LDARC makes some of those. You can pick those up, or you can get the 1S 450s from Emax. They also make that same type of battery with that 2.0 connector, and then you short out the lead, but it doesn't come with the lead to short it out, which is kind of a bummer. I think that BetaFpv probably needs to start including that in their kits. That would be a good suggestion to BetaFpv. Now I'm really finding some lines, and the greatest thing about BetaFpv's quads is they are a crowd favorite, mainly because they fly really well. They fly really locked in. I have plenty of control on my yaw. I feel like the rates are probably a little bit high for anyone that was brand new. And right here I'm flying in stability indoors. Flying in Acro indoors, I pretty much fly at the wall and bounce. Really hard to slow it down indoors on Acro. So even some of the pros still flying in stability inside. So don't be ashamed to fly in stability mode indoors. No big deal. What we really want to do is just have some fun flying when it's snowing or raining outside. And today it's nice and rainy outside, so I'm able to do some sort of indoor FPV racing. And if I had gates, of course I don't need gates, I have my own legs. If I had gates, I could make up a little course. You can buy little tiny gates to set up in your house. And also fun because you can fly these kind of quadcopters. What's up, dude? You can fly these kind of quadcopters just about anywhere, with the owner's permission, of course. But people don't really seem to care. They're very lightweight. You know, if you're flying something around 30 grams, it's not going to hurt anybody unless you have some type of severe act of God where, you know, someone gets their eye taken out, but it's not likely to happen. And back into the game room. I love these old school Rush driving games. They used to be like $1.50, now they're $1.25. But this is a pretty cool little fun little joint, and let's take it outside now. This is where it gets a little dicey because today the flags are whipping around outside. It's blowing over 15 miles an hour. And really what I'm trying to do here is just trying to maintain control because this little guy is very lightweight, and I'm really just trying to make my lines through here. Just keep this thing going straight. I'm getting pushed back toward the building that I'm standing inside. And the 25 milliwatt does okay here. It doesn't really do outstanding, but there's a whole lot of solid objects around here and a whole lot of metal. This is an old service station that they converted to an area for food trucks and food carts. Pretty nice place to come visit. Now we're out in the park, and we're going to show you how fast it can go on 2S. Now, this little guy, it's not as fast as the Trashcan. It is comparable to the Mobula7. I wouldn't say it's a Mobula7 killer, but it does fly really locked in on 2S, and this is where you get some serious speed. And you kind of have to watch out a little bit out there because the ghost branches in the wintertime will really come up on you fast on 2S. I'm playing around with this tree here, and you can do some mild freestyle with these if you want. You can hit some insane gaps. This tree was perfect because there wasn't a lot of little tiny branches sticking off of it. You can find a nice big wide tree to play around on. That's a lot of fun. You can do flips around the branches and go back and forth, up and over. Maybe back one more time through. And when you get tired of playing with trees, you can find some good lines again. Gonna go find some lines along the sidewalk here. I'm gonna test out this 25 milliwatt over top of, yeah, I lost it right there. Over top of that metal structure seems to have a lot of loss, but that's gonna happen. Your video is gonna break up when you get around baseball fields, things like that. Hey, who's that guy? Oh, that's me. Back around to the tree for another pass. I love this tree, except I don't love that. So now we're going to try out turtle mode. And yeah, turtle mode works, you guys. Let's go. Let's get it back up in the air. This park always reminds me of Star Wars, like the Ewok planet. I always feel like I'm on a speeder bike flying through the Ewok forest. I love this place. There's a little garden over to the right. I'm just going to fly along this fence. And really, if you want to start out in FPV, this would be an awesome beginner quadcopter. Also for intermediate guys that already have 4 or 5 quads would like this quad because of how well it flies. The $99 price point is digestible. If you got $100, throw it at this quad. I don't think you'll regret that. Sort of a half matty loop around that tree branch. Luckily I landed side up, camera up, now back around again. And it has enough motor. There goes a concrete post. I always seem to find the concrete post. Let's see if I can turtle mode my way out of this one. Yeah. Heck yeah, let's go. So the wind is all over me right now. Back into those big pine trees. So let's go to another location. We're going to go over to Meldrum Park now, and we're going to check out some flying at Meldrum Park. And it is really, really wet outside. And it's one of those days where if you crash and you find a mud puddle, it's not going to be a good day. But I'm going to fly anyway. Nice little flip over the car there. And there's not a lot of wind right now, so I have a little more control. And I want to show you the type of low and fast control that you can get with this quad. I love these trees and these rocks right here because you can come low over these rocks and in between these trees do a little bit of slalom. And then there's a telephone pole and a wire down here. I kind of like to do some flips over. Come back down here and do a few flips. And it you know, I've flown this little spot before with like 3-inch quads, and this really does feel like you're flying a smaller micro brushless. This is one of my favorite spots to fly. Sort of a half matty flip around this tree right here. You can matty flip this baby, which is cool. It has plenty of power. This is not like your last generation, your first generation whoops by any means. We're definitely at a different level coming up into the first part of 2019. Boom, back over myself, coming over dangerously close to the mud puddles. Back for some mild slalom around these trees, and I love how much control I have here. The 25 milliwatt is breaking up a little bit at this point. I'm about a half a football field away, and there's just a few trees in between me. Back under the gate. Oh nope, I hit the chain. Now back over top of one of these trees for an alley-oop. Back down toward the ground. You see that 25 milliwatt breakup? It is real. It is there. I wish this was a 200 milliwatt. Now another flip over my car, and this was bad luck. Right into a mud puddle. So not cool. So now my camera is pink, and I was able to get another flight in, even though it looks like some strange Vietnam camera we have going on here for thermal imaging. I thought that this might be the last result of my camera, but sadly my receiver died, and that was the end of that. All right, guys, welcome back from that wild flight test. I think this quad flies really, really well, and unfortunately for me, mine landed in a mud puddle in actually about 3 inches of water, and it sat there, and the camera turned pink and everything, and it was kind of a kaleidoscope for a little while, and then it stopped working altogether. The receiver died on the board, and the bad thing about this one is that the receiver is built into the board. It's that SPI style FR Sky receiver setup built into the flight controller. The bad news for me is that once the receiver stopped working, that board is no longer useful. So maybe one caveat, one con about this one, but I do like the way they have their blue stuff branded. It's very recognizable as BetaFpv. You've got your Facebook group on here and your support and manual, QR code links, and we have an email on the back, support@betafpv.com. Super cool. I also got a little bit of foam in here and a couple of little jumpers. And I guess, one thing that turned me off right away about this one, let's just jump into something that I don't like about this. And everyone else seems to be cheerleaders about things these days, but we're going to talk about this canopy. It really sucks. It always breaks. Broke in the back right there. Sometimes the props do fly off. And one other thing, this one is only 25 milliwatt. Yeah, long pause, silence. Everything out there at this point should be switchable between 25 and 200. The older version of the Beta FPV X series, I believe, was switchable up to 200, and the new Trashcan is also switchable up to 200. So this is a fail as far as the FPV system on board. And you know, I like that it has smart audio. That's really great. It comes with 2 batteries, and it doesn't come with a whole lot of accessories compared to some of the other quads out there. So while I think this one is a really nice flying quad and really good for around $100, there's a lot of competition right now out there. So a lot of pilots are looking for a lot of those extras. The extras that come in the box really make it just sweeten the pot for the purchase, if you know what I mean. So aside from the canopy, the frame held up this time really well. And the Beta FPV frame has always done really well for me. A lot of times I tell people to buy this frame and upgrade your Mobula7, because the Mobula7 has a really terrible, brittle frame. You do also not get that little connector that can short out the jumper and make it a 1S. So if you can find this little connector right here, you can short that out and you can fly it on 1S. My Trashcan did come with this, so I'm using the one that came with the Trashcan. Now I can fly this one on 1S or 2S. Once you have that jumper, you can do that. And the battery I'm going to recommend is the 1S 550 milliamp. That's going to get you over 4 minutes flight time with this baby. So that's actually pretty cool. Now we are running an F4 flight controller on here with I believe it's BetaFlight 3.4 OSD on here, smart audio. They have the 0802 motors on here, and those are comparable to the Mobula, which is good, but the Trashcan has 0803 motors on there, and they're 15,000 kV, whereas these are 12,000 kV. So a little lower kV, might give you a little bit longer flight time. The Trashcan is quite aggressive with the battery and power system on there, so it's going to suck up the battery a little quicker. You can also upgrade the Trashcan with the included XT30, which this one does not have. So if you decide to upgrade to an XT30, you're going to have to provide your own. You can do that a little bit later. You could just, you know, snip some wires off and solder them onto here, or you can just start over with a new wire and save this harness for later if you decide to go back to those 2.0 style connectors, which I suggest doing. The battery that comes along with it is it's a decent battery. I've had pretty good luck with it. The 4.35 volt, that is a true HV battery. So you want to charge this one as an HV, but you can also charge it as a standard LiPo at 4.2 volt max on this particular cell. So that's kind of nice. Now, one thing I'm going to suggest is getting yourself one of these Eachine style chargers. You can charge with a 4S battery. You can charge up to 6 of these at once, which is really sweet. And it's also switchable between standard LiPos and your HVs. So it has the LED readout right there. These are really awesome. You should pick one of these up, and they're not super expensive. It's a great field charger, and it just keeps you flying a long time, which I really enjoy. This one, and I gotta say, fun factor is 5 out of 5. I love the way that Beta FPV stuff flies. I just think that, again, the QC, we're looking at quality control. Some of the QC seems to be better this time. It was my fault that I just had dumb luck and I landed in about 3 inches of water after it rained. Sad for me, but I'll try to get a new board and fix this one up. Now, this one is running the same size props, by the way, as the Mobula7. There's the 40 millimeter props on here, and they are interchangeable and switchable. And the same as the Trashcan. So someone else asked me on the channel the other day, can I switch between the Trashcan props and the Mobula props? So if you order a Trashcan, yes, you can switch back and forth because they are all the same size props. These are 75 millimeter squared up frames. So they are all the same across the board for those quads. Now, while I'm not a big fan of 25 milliwatt on whoops anymore, I can say that I like the color and the contrast on this camera. Seem to be pretty good. But one thing that I did not like was the fact that it's not changeable as far as the tilt goes. The camera is pretty narrow field of view. It's not super wide field of view. So if you're going to fly indoors, you need to find another mount that you can kind of lower this angle, because you're looking at about 30 degrees right there. And if you're going to have an indoor flyer for the winter time, you really want something that you can adjust. So some people are actually using a CADX upgrade and just directly soldering a new camera to the board. using the same VTX. You should be able to just do that with the 3 wires, the signal, the 5 volt, and the ground wire. One other thing I'd really like about this particular version of the BetaFpv quad is the fact that these bolts, these little screws, are way better than the Trashcan screws. I have to say that. These are much wider and just a lot easier to use. You see how it almost has like a washer built into the top of this type of screw, which is a really nice screw. It holds the canopy down nice, but like I said, you're going to need to order several of those canopies to make this work. But this is the camera mount right here, and this one's different than the last BetaFpv X series because look, check this out. This one's spongy. The other one was actually a stiff mount, and this new one, they've given a little bit of shock to it, which is nice because when you do hit something, your camera has some give, and that's really good so that you don't break your camera in some of those harder crashes. They do have the same dipole up here, which I brought out the top of the canopy. You can just heat up a screwdriver with a torch and just make yourself a hole right there and bring it out the top for a little better reception than having it kind of tucked back here like it comes stock. So that's not really going to give you the longest range video. So one thing to do, bring that dipole out the top like that. Now you're looking right now at the VTX on the very top and the flight controller here. It's all in one flight controller, receiver, and the ESCs. And I believe you can get up to about 6 amp peak current on this, so don't try to run this on anything more than 1 to 2S. If you hook up a 3S battery to this, it'll immediately fry it. You'll see white smoke come out of the board. But I also like that they do have plug and play motors, and I've showed you guys these before. If you have a motor go out, which would be pretty minor, you can just plug in a new one. No soldering required also. So, but let's get back to that camera. The BetaFpv camera on here is actually made by them, and that's the Z02 AIO camera, and you can Google it and find it. And the specs on this camera actually say that it is switchable between 25 and 200. So this might actually be a 200 milliwatt transmitter on here. The BetaFpv website says it's not. It says it's only that the stock version only comes with the 25 milliwatt version, but this looks like exactly like the same camera and VTX that the Z002 AIO camera comes with, and it says the wire connected version, which this one is. It's wire connected. So yeah, on the Race Day Quads website, it says it's switchable. So I'm wondering if their specs are wrong, or maybe they just have a different version of this. And I'm not really sure why they didn't just go ahead and put the 200 milliwatt switchable version on here for you guys. Also, the field of view, by the way, I looked that up for you, and it is 100 degrees field of view. So yeah, it is a very narrow camera, and I might make a suggestion to upgrade this to something like the CADX camera. And you can get those Thingiverse mounts, and you can print whole new TPU top plates for this particular whoop, which is super awesome. The frames are pretty much the same frame as the previous X version, so you can look up those mods for a new helmet for this little baby if you want to. And one other thing that I think I do like about this frame is that they did do a props out configuration. So if you notice in the right rear, I usually say right turn rear, and that helps you figure out how to put your props on, and then you just do the diagonal one across. They're both right usually. But you notice this is in reverse configuration inside BetaFlight. So they have the right rear turning left. And that's good for you guys. When you set this to the arm angle inside BetaFlight to be 180, you can rearm the quad. If you crash it in a tree, you should be able to get it to push itself out of a tree. Now, if a tree branch goes through here, it did happen to me one time, and I had it hanging up like this, maybe for about 20 minutes while I was throwing sticks at it and everything else to try to get this thing down. It is not going to get out of the tree that way, but props out configuration usually keeps you out of the small branches and leaves, which is pretty nice. So just a little better for getting yourself out of those sticky situations. But one other thing that I have to mention is that this does not have a current sensor built into the flight controller. So there's no current sensor on here, but they do say that they have what they call a virtual current meter inside BetaFlight, which is kind of a fairly new thing, and when it's properly calibrated, it can be accurate enough to be useful for current sensor. You can do the set current underscore meter equals virtual, and space down one line set IBAT scale equals 90, set IBAT TV offset equals 29. I'll try to put that up on the screen for you guys. And if you'd like a CLI dump as well, I'll try to include that down below for all the PIDs and everything that they have set up. But you can fly it stock out of the box the way it came. They're just providing that on the support page for you guys, which I think is kind of nice. So let's go ahead and grab the scale real quick. We'll go ahead and do a dry weight on this quad. We'll do a 1S weigh-in, and we'll do a 2S, and then we'll do the 550 on there as well. Let's just tuck those underneath there so they're not hanging down and touching the bench. And I have 27.4 grams right there. That's a dry weight without a battery. And let's put one battery on there and see what we get. And we're going to get up to 34.8 grams. Now we'll put two batteries on the scale with the quad. This is the 2S setup. We're looking at 42.4 grams. That's pretty competitive weight. Really lightweight. They say this frame is a little bit lighter, about 2 grams lighter than the original X series frame. So if you want a lighter frame, get one of these. And then we'll put the 1S 550 on there. That's going to be a pretty good weight there. That's a pretty big battery. So we're looking at, oh, actually a little bit lighter than the 2S configuration at 41.3 grams. That's not too bad. And the biggest benefit they say about the Pro series versus the X series is that this one is just lighter frame, and it flies faster. And 42.2 grams, yeah, 42.3 grams with the 2S setup. Now let's go ahead and sum it up. Let's just go ahead and give this quad a star rating. So I'm gonna come in, an overall rating for this is probably gonna be around a 4.4. Not the highest rating in the world. I have to say, fun factor is a 5 out of 5. Performance is awesome. It is a 5 out of 5. It is not as fast as the Trashcan on a 2S XT60 or XT30 configuration. So if you're wanting balls out fast, tiny whoop that almost flies like a micro brushless, get the Trashcan, because it has a little larger motors and it comes with the XT30 that you can upgrade it to. If you want a screamer, yeah, I was burning through a 2S 300 milliamp in about 2 minutes with that quad. So it rips, it's fast, and it flies so fast you really have to watch out for people when you're flying that one. This one does fly a little bit slower, but I think in a lot of ways this one is smoother. So that's why I'm rating it so high on the performance factor. I think the lowest rating on this one would probably be the quality control on these. This one is an improved version of the X series, I believe, and I had a lot of problems with the 6.5 and the 75 that I had previously on the channel. A lot of problems with internal structures. My original one, I had to zip tie the two boards together to make them activate and stay active, so stay powered up. That's you know, kind of my first impression of the company. So I'm still trying to get over that and move forward with this QC issue. But yeah, overall rating is going to be an honest rating of around 4.3 as compared to other quads out there like the Mobula7 and the new Trashcan. But you know, they all have these issues, and it's good that the reviewers, if they're being honest, they can tell you about those, and these companies can make better quads for you guys in the long run. So again, these are honest reviews, and these videos are not really for the companies. These videos are for the people. So, and again, if you want to get yourself entered into the drawing for January 2nd, please do that. This is the last minute, folks, for the Tiny Hawk and the Mephisto drone that we're giving away. And this comment will also count for January's drawing and giveaway. So good luck to everybody. Happy New Year's, and thanks so much for watching my channel and supporting me on Patreon behind the scenes, and continuing to give you guys honest reviews and close-up looks at what's new in the FPV community. I'm Justin Davis. Take care, guys. I'll see you on the next one.